Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm the OPJellicent and I have week number 5 of season number 4 of the WPL. This week we took on Storm Plays 71. His links will be in the description, so be sure to check him out. See, his name is OPJellicent is easy, minus Storm is easy, that's kind of cool, but either way, we are currently 2-2, looking to get back on the winning side of things. He, I believe, is also 2-2 at this point, so whoever wins this will get positive, whoever loses this will go negative, so I definitely think we have the team to win. We have Scarf Kyurem Black. The only thing that could really outspeed it would be Scarf Ape or Scarf Garchomp, which would really mess it up. I guess these two being Scarf would also mess it up, but that's not something I expect. We have Assault Vest Tangrowth that can deal with the Garchomp very well, whether it be special or physical. So we do have some physical defense on that. We have Donphan to deal with the Infernape and the Scizor. It could be like Z Solar Beam on the Infernape, but I'm really expecting just like offensive close combat, so we are defensive. Assault Vest Raikou deals with Zapdos really nicely, as well as Manaphy. It can take a +3 Surf, and it'll do like 90% back with Thunderbolt. And we have Choice Scarf Gengar right here, which can really clean up his team as long as we get rid of the Bullet Punching Scizor. None of Infernape's priority hits me, like a Vacuum Wave or Mach Punch, so we don't have to worry about that. So hopefully we can maybe pull off a sweep with Gengar or Kyurem late game. But we really do have to be careful about the Scarf Garchomp, so let's get right into the replay. He leads off with the Manaphy as I lead off with Donphan. Obviously there's no way I'm staying in. So he goes right for the Ice Beam. Fortunately does not freeze me, as here I decide to not predict the Garchomp and go for a T-Bolt. You guys can see he stayed in. I figured even if he went to Garchomp, I can just go right out of my defensive Tangrowth right there, so that wouldn't be the biggest of issues. He goes for the Surf, which really does nothing. He noticed in the chat I had Assault Vest, but here he's going to go out into the Zapdos, which, judging from this Thunderbolt damage, ends up being specially defensive, so I really need to preserve my Kyurem Black and my Gengar to try to take this out. He goes for the U-turn right there, so I'm presuming if he stayed in, he might have assumed I would go for T-Bolt again and go Garchomp. But here, that was a big turn right there, because that Ice Beam did not KO. I was Assault Vest, and what would have ended up happening was I would have had this Tangrowth with 172 defense for the Scarf Garchomp, but now if I let Donphan get weakened, which I have to switch in on the Scizor and the Infernape, it's going to be a really big problem with the Garchomp. So I'll show you what happens. Right here I got into Raikou. Of course, that's my biggest check to this thing. I'll go for Thunderbolt and knock it out, no over-predicting at this point. Here he goes Garchomp. Judging for the way he brought it out, I know it's Scarf at this point. I have to use this as a response to it. Here he switches out into the Scizor as I get up my Stealth Rocks, which can really help against the Zapdos, put it into range of my Kyurem Black's Ice Beam. He goes for the knockoff right here, and he goes right into my his Zapdos, which is a really great response to this. I unfortunately only have Fire Punch and not Ice Punch, and he's going to be able to roost up on me, so he opts to go for the Defog first, which was an interesting play, as I miss a Toxic, so more hacks right there. If I landed that Toxic, it would have put this thing on a timer, and that would have been great for Raikou, Kyurem, and Gengar, but such as Pokemon, what happens right here is, I believe he goes for the Roost this time, as I actually land I go for Rocks again, forcing him to defog, so he opts to Thunderbolt first. Fortunately does not pair on me, as I actually connect my Toxic this time, which is great. And here, what I just end up doing is going right out of my response to this thing, my Assault Vest Raikou. It can definitely stall this thing out with Poison and deal some nice damage with Thunderbolt. So here I decide to make a prediction. It could be specially defensive Mew and go for the Shadow Ball, but it turns out he decides to U-turn out instead of hard switching out. I go for the Extreme Speed here because Raikou is so weak and does not really respond to the Zapdos anymore or the Mew, so that also did confirm to me it is... Well, actually I went for Extreme Speed, so it's not confirmed that it's Scarf Garchomp yet, but judging from the fact that he brought it in against my Raikou the first time, I'm probably expecting Scarf, so... Obviously, I am Scarf Garchomp, but... obviously I am Scarf Gengar, and that is Scarf Garchomp, but... Gengar actually lost its ability Levitate in this generation, so I figured I might want to go out into this and maybe trick him into staying in, thinking that I'm not Choice Scarf, and he could just knock me out with Earthquake, but he makes an alright play here, goes out into the Zapdos. If he was expecting the Hidden Power Ice, Zapdos was probably not the play there, but then again, if I went for the Shadow Ball, nothing else really worked right there, so... Here I can just throw off the HP Ice twice, revealing that I am probably locked in somehow. He probably expects Scarf since I brought it in against the Scarf Garchomp. Here he just goes into Infernape. I have to predict the U-turn. So here what I do is, he goes for Earthquake, as I believe I try to Toxic this thing, and I fortunately land again. Synchronize is not going to be able to poison me. But this is not looking really terrible right now. If we can just get rid of the Scizor, Gengar has a really good chance of sweeping the rest of his team with Choice Scarf Shadow Ball. I go for the Heavy Slam here and do some nice damage. He could likely have Roost, but he wouldn't click it at this point because he would just get worn down by poison, and I would just get more damage off with Heavy Slam. He's really weakened at this point, so what I do is I go down to my Gengar, throw off the Shadow Ball, and just knock him out. But now, Scizor and Fernape, all of those are a problem, even Scarf Garchomp, because Shadow Ball would not knock that out. I'll just go for Shadow Ball right there because I figured I have no better sack. And at this point, it's not looking great with the Scarf Garchomp mess-up because he can weaken me even further here with his Scarf Fernape. So it goes right for the Earthquake and knock him out. And obviously, this could be like SD, but he just goes right for the knockoff. And at this point, I just lose to Scarf Garchomp. I can go for Earthquake here. And I have to hope for like an Ice Shard crit. I do have Ice Shard on my defensive Donphan. He goes for knockoff, knocks off my Choice Scarf. Doesn't go for Bullet Punch for whatever reason, so this is actually going to be a 1-0 unless I got that crit, but he's going to be able to go for the Outrage and just win twice. As you guys are going to see, even the Ice Shard crit would not knock him out from that damage, so he's going to go for Ice Shard, knock me out, and that is going to be a good game. So obviously 1-0s are always fun and close, but I would have loved to win that. The crit onto my Tangrowth really sucked because that was my main response to Choice Scarf Garchomp. I was Assault Vest and I did have 172 defense, so I would have been able to stall it out with the Giga Drain and probably just win this match because it would have helped out against the Mew also. I did have Toxic on it, but that's just how Pokemon goes sometimes. He could have obviously made different plays if he did not crit my Tangrowth, but we fall to 2 and 3, but that's not the end of the world. If we can maybe go 5 and 4 or 6 and 3 to end off the season, we can definitely still make playoffs. I also have my UPC conference final match going up tomorrow, so definitely stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys next week.